Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back once again. Today's very awesome. I really missed you guys. So what I want to show you guys now is how to cut your senator top. So this is for a child. You like call him a child or a small boy, something like that. So this is for the elder brother because I want to make two. So this is for the elder brother. This is exactly what I want to show you guys on how to make. So you can see how fine and neat, but how will I say it, on how it looks. So you can see how it looks very fine. So this is exactly what I want to show you guys on how to get. You can see this excess at this side. You can see my one thing I love about this is very standard. You can see how it looks very fine. Only like this if you have seen it on the person's body. So let's continue with this one which I want to show you now. So I just make everything simple and easy for you to understand. So I went on to do my cutting so that I will just go straight ahead to show you on how to calculate it. So what you will do first is to get your bust, your chest rather. You get your chest divided by 4 plus 1.5 or 2 inches. So what I have here now is my chest divided by 4 plus 2 inches for my sewing allowance. So this 2 inches depends on how you want it to be. You can make it 1.5 or 2. So after getting that, what I went on to do next is to get my full length plus 2 inches for my folding allowance for my length. So this is actually my up. This is for my front, rather this is my front, and my front measurement is 23 for full length plus 2 inches for sewing allowance. That is what I use for this. But if I'm making for somebody who is big, you are going to make it 5 or 4 inches. So for smaller person, you can make use of 3. I just want to use 2 inches for my sewing allowance, but when making yours, you can make it 3 inches because I like it when it is 3 inches. I just on my own, I just decide to make use of this. Is still okay to still come out fine, just like the way you saw this one. So this other one as well, I use 2 inches. So you can see the distance of my fold after folding it in. So you can see the distance still came out very fine. So after doing that, after getting your full length plus 2 inches for sewing allowance, what you are going to do for your back, so through this now you are going to get your back. And for my back, what I did, because I showed you that opening at the back, this opening here, so I want to do this hand in hand for you to understand better. So you can see this opening here which I have at this back. Hope you can see this, that my overlap there. So what I did was to get 1.5 inches at this back, 1.5 inch from here to here all the way down. I have 1.5 inch, and I fold it in. So after folding that in, so you can see my 1.5 inch, I folded it in. So I'm trying to repeat myself so that you understand better. So after doing that, I place my front on my back. I am trying to explain on how you will get for bigger person, so that before I will shoot a video on how to cut for a bigger person, you will have a clue on how to go about it if you have any project like that to do. So I'm just giving you hand in hand. So for this boy now, which I'm making for now, I have an extension of 3 inches at this part. So if you are making for a bigger person, you are going to make it 4. But I like my overlap to be 1.5 in total, because you know your back is supposed to be bigger than your front, because your front is going to come from your back to complete your front. Hope you understand what I'm trying to say. I'll still explain that to you better to understand. But just take note of, if you want your front that is going to overlap at this side from your back to this side, if you want it to be 1.5, you're going to divide that by 2 and make it 3. So what is what I have here, because I want the one that will overlap to be 1.5. If you want it to be 2, you are going to divide it by 2 to make it 4. So what I have here now is 3. So I have my full length plus 3 inches for my back after folding my 1.5 inch in. So you can see I place my fabric equal with the back. So you can see I place it equal at this part. It is totally lapping together equally, so that it is not shifting. So you must take note of this part, because you don't want any mistake or any error to be, because if this your front is smaller than your back, it won't sit properly. So you should make sure it is very straight. like this. I'm taking my time to explain so you don't get confused, understand what I'm trying to do. So let me go ahead to get my measurements, then come back to you, because I just discovered that I have not prepared my measurements. So let me go ahead to bring back, because I really need my measurements to do my calculations. So without wasting much of your time, I'm coming in a jiffy. English one. So I now have my measurements in place, every calculation you need to know in place. So I believe you understood how I was able to arrive at this part now. So let me go straight to the point. So after getting your front and back placed together, so you can see that my back, this is my down part and this is my upper part. So you can see that my back is longer by 3 inches, as I told you earlier. So what I'm going to do now is my shoulder. My shoulder is 12 divided by 2 will give me 6 plus half inch for sewing allowance for your shoulder. So my shoulder is 12, which is 6 divided by 2, which is 6 plus half inch for sewing allowance, making it 6.5. Then for my shoulder slope, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inch. So because the person I'm making for is a smaller person, his shoulder is not as broad as a bigger person, so I'm using 1.5 for him. But if you are making for ladies, you can make it 2 inches for them. But for men, you can make it 2.5, 3 inches. It depends on how broad. You know, there are some people that normally with lifts and they have a very broad shoulder. You're going to make like 3 inches for them. But for men, you make 2.5. So for ladies, you make 2. For this smaller boy, I make 1.5, 1 inch. It depends on the size of the person you are making for. So after getting it at that point, what I'm going to do now is to rule my straight line from this part. You can see from my shoulder plus my 0.5 inch for sewing allowance, where I came down by 1.5 inch. So I'm going to rule it down the way, down this way to this my midpoint for my center front. So I ruled my line to that point. So let me place my mark here to indicate that this is my shoulder plus my 0.5 inch for sewing allowance. So what I'm going to do now is to cut it out like this. Okay, so after cutting this out, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to work with my front and keep my back aside. I will use that later, but for now, let me work with my front. Understood? So after doing that, what I'm going to do now is to come over to my armhole. So my armhole now, my armhole is my chest divided by 4. So my chest is 27 divided by 4 will give me 27 divided by 4 will give me 6.7. So that 6.7 will be for my armhole. But if you are making a long sleeve, you are going to minus 1 inch from your chest divided by 4. For long sleeve, you are going to minus 1 inch from your chest divided by 4. But for short sleeve, you are going to use your chest divided by 4. For short sleeve, you are going to use your chest divided by 4. I'm repeating myself because I want you to understand better. So from this point, you remember we came down by 1.5 inch from our shoulder to get our shoulder slope. I came down by 1.5 inch. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to replace my 1.5 inch at that spot. Then I am going to mark here my 6.7. So from my 1.5 inch, which I threw out from this front, I came down to my 6.7 because this is now is my bust divided by 4. My chest divided by 4. So as I told you, my back is going to fall to my front. So this 1.5 inch, which I took for that part, it is going to appear at the front. As we go, you understand better. So I just want you to have a clue on how it will look. So my chest divided by 4, that is what I have for my armhole here. So after getting it from my armhole there, what I'm going to do now is to place my chest measurement. So my chest measurement is my chest divided by 4, 6.7. I place my 6.7 here. Then 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. So that is what I have here. Then to get where you want your length to be, for smaller person, I always use 10 inches from my armhole to my where my opening will start from. But for bigger person, you use 13 inches. So for bigger person, you use 13 inches. I told you I will be rotating my measurement so that it will be easier for you to make if you want to make for somebody. But in this case, I'm going to show you on what to do later because I'm going to apply a side pocket and I'm going to do that explanation later for you to understand. So just keep on watching the video. So after getting my measurements like that, so let me quickly get what I have from here. So I totally have 8.3 here. I'm going to place my 8.3 at this part here. Then I will connect it together in a straight line, connect it together. So after doing that, I connect from my shoulder to my chest line. So I'll connect from my shoulder to my chest line measurement there. So you can see it is on or at a slanted form. Just flow with my English. So what I'm going to do next now is to get the midpoint from this part, from my shoulder to my armhole. The midpoint which I have here will be 2.5 because I have 5 inch here, so it will be 2.5. So I'll place it at 2.5 here. So from this 2.5, I'm going to come in by 0.5. Sorry, I'm going to come in by 1 inch rather. So from this my armhole point which I have here, I'm going to come in by 1 inch to get my armhole curve. Then I'm going to connect my curve down to my chest line, then connect down to this my tip of my shoulder. So this is to terminate the excesses you normally have at your sleeve here. So let me come back with this one now. So what I did there was to terminate. You can see there is no excesses at this point here. So when the person puts this on, it will be flat and smooth and look very sweet on the person who has this. So you can see how the armhole looks very unique and very authenticated. So let's go to our class. Let's keep English aside for now, but I'm still using it. So for our neck now, what I'm going to do now is my neck. For your neck, you need to take your neck measurements. So I'm going to use my neck divided by 6. My neck divided by 6 for my case now gives me 1.7. So that 1.7 is what I'm going to place at this part here. So 1.7 is what I am placing at this part here. 1.7. But if you are making, there's a way, there are two ways of piping your neck. So for my piping of my neck, I am not, there is one like you sew and turn your neck piping outward, but mine I just fix it in and sew. So for the one that you are going to turn outward, what you are going to do is after getting your neck divided by 6, we are going to come in by 0.3 inch. So that's 0.3 inch. If I take 0.3 inch, I'm talking for the other one because this my 0.3 inch, that is where I am going to sew and turn over to this other part, and it will fall equally as what I have here. But in this case, I'm not making that type of neck piping. I am just letting you to know in case, because you might know how to do that better than this. So you might want to use that. So you don't go ahead to use this measurement and use that and get a wider neck. So for mine, I'm not going to fold it that way. As time will allow, I will show you a video on how to do that in a separate video. I might also do an explanation of the neck before doing that as God permits. So I have 1.7 here for my width. And my neck is going to be, the depth of my neck is going to be deeper than my width. So by 0.5 inch, so I have 1.7 inch for my width. So for my depth, I'm going to include 0.5, which will give me 2.2. So the depth of my neck is going to be 2.2. Then what I'm going to do is to connect it in a loop-like shape. Connect my neck together. I hope hope you understand what I'm trying to do here. So I have a student here that I want to ask questions. She might be confused in one way or the other, and I believe it will help most of you. So questions is now permitted. So so we can use pidgin. This class is understandable class. That is why you need to be yourself. So we can use pidgin or English. So they don't understand.
Okay, why do we divide the neck into six?
The neck divided by 6 is the formula of getting your neck curled. This is a guide that helps you on how to get your accurate neck calculation. So you don't have to do it offhand, like guessing your neck. And sometimes you might get the right neck if you guess, and sometimes you might get the wrong neck. It might be wider or smaller or at your main neck if you use the guessing word. But this with this formula now, you need to know how to get your exact neck. So you need to divide your neck divided by 6. So what you have, that is what you're going to class, that's what you're going to place here for the width, depending on how I just explained to you to understand. Then your neck is, the depth is going to be 0.5 inch deeper than your width. 0.5 inch deeper than your width. So this formula I am using here, you can use this formula for somebody who is big. You can use this formula for a bigger person. And I told you I will explain for you to understand on how to go about that. So that is what I have been doing all this while. So after doing that, what I'm going to do now is to cut out my neck. And I'll cut out my armhole as well.